friends, and welcome to The Other A Word by Amina Mosley, your go-to channel for fun, simple, and effective strategies to support the autism and special needs community in early childhood and beyond. I'm Amina, and that's A-M-I-N-A-H. I'm practicing. Today we'll be talking about an American Sign Language schedule. And so let's get right into it. This is September, and so we're doing scheduling in September, and this is part one of a 4-part video. Today specifically, we'll be talking about tracking your schedule. A schedule is critical. If you think about what you do every day, you kind of do it without thinking about it. Sometimes you get up and you just go. There's no time to contemplate. There's no time to anything because you probably woke up, pressed the snooze alarm about 3 times, and now you're finally awake, blah, blah, blah. And then you got to get the kids or the hubby or the wife or whomever out the door, and potentially yourself as well. And so let's look at that. Let's look specifically at your schedule and just writing down what you do every day. Now, your schedule and your child's schedule probably differ unless you're a stay-at-home caregiver. If for whatever reason your loved one's schedule is different than yours, that's fantastic. So I've split up the dry erase board, and we're going to simply mark. Sorry for the shifting. We're going to simply mark both schedules. So I have my handy dandy notes here. So if you see me look down, it's because I'm looking at my notes. You may also hear me turning pages. Before we get into writing the numbers, it's quite important to recognize that you have a schedule, and to have a schedule in general that is predictable. It's been shown that, for example, a child who has a schedule that's predictable is typically less anxious. And so less anxiety typically leads to less meltdowns, blah, blah, blah. Consider if you as an adult didn't have a schedule, didn't have a set way of doing things, and whether that means Monday to Friday looks a certain way, Saturday looks a certain way, and Sunday looks a certain way. Imagine you just kind of went by the seat of your pants. Most of the time that doesn't work, and honestly, it doesn't work best with children with special needs. I will recommend that when you're tracking your schedule, you don't judge yourself. Just take care of you and write it down. So I'm going to ask that you go and pause the video and get a piece of paper, because we're going to do your schedule together. All right? So I'm guessing you're back and we're ready to do the schedule. We're going to do 8 to 10. So we're going to start at 8 a.m., though your day may start earlier. So put whatever time makes sense for you. So we're going to go 8, 9, 10, 11, noon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. All right. So your schedule is going to look different every day. Let's say by 8 o'clock, you have already woken up, so you were asleep before. And don't mind my chicken scratch. It's just for us to basically work together. So imagine that, you woke up probably at about 7:38 to make sure everything was taken care of. Perhaps you were preparing lunches. Perhaps you were showering yourself, brushing your teeth, like going through just the bathroom time routines that happen for you personally in the morning. Yeah. And then at 8 a.m., it was time to make sure everybody was fed. So let's say this is breakfast and out the door. Okay. Typically, if you have a traditional job, you're going to be working somewhere between 9 to 5 and 10 to 6. But if you're a parent, you're probably commuting to drop your child off to wherever they need to go, pretty much between 8 and 9 as well. So imagine you're commuting to drop off, or you're commuting for work. Let's say you're working from 9 to 5 or 9:30 to 5:30. So let's just put work there. And then at 6, whatever time this is, you're probably commuting back to whoever's caring for your child. So a babysitter, the daycare, work. If you have an on-site daycare, kudos to your job. But that's shared to say you're probably commuting somewhere in this time frame, and then you're back home. You may be checking homework. With your children, you may be preparing dinner. And at 8 o'clock, after dinner, after settling, you guys may have some screen time together. Or you may also be settling into the bedtime routine. And the bedtime routine could look like what? Could look like take a bath, go pick 2 books, and let's do story time. And you settling in and reading with the babies, reading with the kids all together or separately. And then hopefully the kids actually go to bed, and maybe you may have to answer some emails or whatever you have to do. And perhaps you have some bedtime routines yourself. So you can also, and this is bedtime routine for you, bedtime routine for your loved ones. And let's say that in a perfect world, you are asleep or getting in the bed at 10 p.m. That's your schedule. I bet you could fill this in with all that you do all day, but we're going to keep this really simple. For you though, fill it in with as much as you can, because the more detailed you see your schedule is, the more you can see where you might be able to take out a 15-minute here break for self-care. You may be able to adjust things, etc. And coming up in the parts 3 of this series, I believe it is, where we're doing some adjusting, you may be able to see where you can add time or remove time in the activities that you desire. All right. So let's say this is for the child. So again, 8 a.m., breakfast and out the door. Commuting with you. And then that might mean, let's say, daycare. So 9, 10, 11, noon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 p.m. So whatever their daycare schedule is, they may get there and get a snack for breakfast, right? And then they may have, let's say 12 to 2, they take a nap or have recess, right? 10 to 12 may look like tabletop activities, circle time, and lunch. They go to bed, they wake up, there is a snack, free play, and then they're picking up and they're commuting with you. They're picked up and they're commuting with you. Then similar schedule all around. Commuting, homework, dinner, screen time for them until it's time, screen time and then bedtime for them until it's time to go. And hopefully they're asleep by 9 o'clock. And then they do the same thing from 9 to probably 7 a.m. the next day. Side note, your child is not likely sleeping enough. So it's okay for your child to sleep 8 to 10 hours a night. They need it. They're growing. It's important for their development. So let them sleep. It's okay. Don't be concerned that they're sleeping too much. They're typically not sleeping enough. Does this look like your schedule for the week or no? Okay. So let me know in the comments if this looks anything like your schedule for the week. And if not, how does it vastly differ? You may be an at-home parent, for example. Remember that this particular piece is actually part 1. I may have shared that earlier. I can't remember, but just in case I didn't, there will be 4 parts to this series scheduled in September, right? So there will be the tracking, the assessment, the adjusting, and then the implementing. And we're going to go over each one together week to week. Look at your schedule on the weekend. Your schedule on the weekend may be very different. And so I encourage you as I'm erasing, you erase, or if you didn't do a dry erase board like me, hello, look at your weekend schedule and maybe look at your Saturday and Sunday schedule, right? Why? Because many people on Saturdays are running errands. And sometimes they sleep in a little later. And sometimes they are doing housework, cleaning up. All the things that didn't get done during the week typically get done on the weekends and typically on Saturdays. On Sunday, if that's your holy day, for example, it may look different because you may go to your church. It may be Friday and you may go to your synagogue. So just look at the days of the week and see what makes sense for you. Some people have Saturday as their holy day. So adjust your schedule accordingly. So my recommendation is you look at your schedule because your schedule during the week and your schedule during the weekend are going to be very different. Okay, so now that we've said all of that, let's say on a Saturday, you are asleep until similar time, 8 o'clock, maybe 9. You have breakfast and it may be easy breezy. There may be screen time for a while. I used to wake up and watch Saturday morning cartoons. So there may be screen time all the way until 12 o'clock for you or for your children, right? Maybe while they're doing screen time, you're doing errands or tidying, paying bills, etc., etc. You guys have lunch, and maybe there's nap time. Well, it depends. If you have a younger child, you may be able to also take a nap. But if you have an older child, or if you have a younger child, it's really smart to nap when they're napping so that you'll actually get some rest. But you may also find that this is good self-care time because you won't have to constantly be looking at and making sure that they're safe and taking care of those things. So nap time, self-care for you, and maybe you go see a movie or, go out and about, just a family trip, if you would. And then you come back home and dinner is at 7. Perhaps you watch a movie together. So more screen time. Bedtime may be pushed to 9 o'clock on the weekend. And so similar thing here, dinner time, screen time, some kind of recreation. If not, they can get those last hyperactive, excited vibes out, right? And so bedtime routine, a little bit later. And then asleep by 10 o'clock, fingers crossed. Look at that. Does that resemble your schedule at all? Look then at Sunday, because Sunday is a completely different day sometimes than Saturday. You're looking forward to the week. You may be strategizing for that. So I invite you now to write down your Sunday schedule as I close out part 1 of this series of 4, tracking for scheduling. I want to encourage you as you're writing just to notice. I'm not asking you to judge yourself. I'm asking you to be non-judgmental and to be kind to yourself, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results. So this is looking at what you do. So doing, essentially tracking what you're doing, tracking the same thing that you're doing. The next part that we're going to do is assessing. So that'll be next Miracle Monday, excuse me. We'll be doing assessing and figuring out what makes the most sense for you. Does this work? Does this time frame work? Yes, no, maybe. Some of it does, some of it doesn't. Be realistic and be kind. Again, all you're doing is writing down what you do now. Don't write down what you want to do or excited about doing or any of that. Just write down what you actually do now. I'm excited to go through this particular journey with you because you'll see that having a schedule in your life will help you set up your routine for your child. And when children have predictable routines, they're less likely to be anxious, less likely to melt down, less likely to be upset and frustrated as easily as they have been. And you'll see a difference. So let me know in the comments how this process was for you. Was it a little daunting? Was it like, oh, this is too much work? Was it like, oh, I get this. Okay, this is really straightforward. What was it like? Tell me more. And always tell me where you hail from. Happy Miracle Monday. I'm so excited to be here. Bye for now.